Aloha, everyone. It's Dr. Heather Tucker here with another episode of Wisdom Wednesdays. And this time I'm here in my office. Usually I'm out. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm so looking forward to the springtime and all the changes that it's going to bring this year. So, for today, I actually was inspired to expand on and share with you the Four Agreements. The Four Agreements is a book written by Don Miguel Ruiz, and he talks about four agreements that when we embody them, it actually changes everything around us. It actually supports us in being having better relationships with other people, and also having better relationships with ourselves, and having more awareness as to what's going on. Because a lot of times, especially in our coaching industry, it's about supporting people and creating awareness. Usually the problem is not really what the problem may seem on the surface level. A lot of times there's things that are deeper, especially issues and difficulties with other people. So I hope that this will help. The first agreement, and I'm going to expand on some of it of what comes to me. The first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your word. Speak only with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using words to speak against yourself or gossip about other. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. This one is so powerful. There's a saying in the Hawaiian culture where it talks about in the word there is life and in the word there is death. So, are we speaking life into people? Are we speaking life into ourselves? Or are we speaking death into people and death into ourselves? Not, let's take it even a little bit deeper, right? So, not only the words that we say, but what about the things that we don't say? Our thoughts can actually become things, right? Our thoughts, even if we don't say them or we don't express them, they can actually become things that get created in our reality. So we have the ability, especially with empowering your mind and your body and your soul, we have the ability to be able to change the words that we say and change our thoughts and even change our feelings. It is totally possible. So, coming from this place about being impeccable with your word, it's not just about saying only what you mean, but say what you mean what you say, and don't say it mean. Um, this kind of also connects with emotions, right? Sometimes when someone is maybe angry or frustrated or depressed or upset, they may lash out and say things that are hurtful. And the things that we say, the things that we do, we can't take back. We can apologize for them, but know that hurt people, and heal people. So the more that we are especially healing ourselves and supporting that healing of other people, this agreement can be expanded. How awesome would it be if everyone spoke words of love and compassion to each other and to themselves? How amazing could the world be if we all just concentrated a little bit and put in a little effort to focus on just this one principle, just this one agreement. Okay, agreement two: don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. Nothing that others do is because of you. And what others say and do is a protection of their own reality, their and or even their own dream. So when we are immune to the opinions and the actions of others, we don't be won't be the victim, and will that uh the victim of really needless suffering. Okay. So we can be the victim or the victor, and sometimes we can be both. I'm coming from take where I used to take everything personally. Like, let me repeat that. I used to take everything personally before I really delved into this work of transformation and trust and truth and becoming the better version of myself each and every day. So, the unconscious mind, let's expand on this now from my perspective. The unconscious mind takes everything personally. It takes everything personally, sometimes automatically. And this is about the empower by empowering your mind, you're actually able to be more aware of how others may lash out and how recognizing it might not have anything to do with you. There's triggers that may happen now based on things that happen as a kid. So I want to let you know, like, whereas we think that our childhood has nothing to do with how we are today, it actually has everything to do with how we are today. And we can be able to go back and heal the past to live more in the present and have a bigger vision for the future. One principle of how successful people operate that we teach in our communication mastery training is that we're just doing the best that we can with the resources that we have available. People are just doing the best that they can with the resources that they have available. And people also are not their behaviors. We can accept the person and guide them into changing the behavior, especially if it's impacting our boundaries and our own health as well. So, knowing this, right? Knowing this, and also that part about where I said hurt people, recognize that if there's something that's going on difficulty, like uh, our work is really all about relationships. Entrepreneurship is all about relationships. Caregiving is all about relationships. And sometimes it's our most intimate relationships that can trigger us when we are um able to be aware of where their triggers and stuff are coming from or what's going on in their world. It's like respecting the other person's model of the world, maybe even if we don't agree with it. We can be able to get that understanding of why they behave the way that they did, make that connection, and then be able to remove ourselves and that personal aspect out of it. Sometimes, not just sometimes, oftentimes when you're on the path of becoming a better version of yourself, like me, whether you're a coach, whether you want to be coaching, or whether you're an entrepreneur, it is going to trickle and it is going to trigger other people around you, because there's going to be a lot of people that may want you to be the same that you were. And I'm here to tell you that even if other people may be triggered or may necessarily make you feel like it's a personal attack, know that that just might mean you're right on time. See, because sometimes triggers have to happen. Like, our work has a lot to do with emotional intelligence. And triggers sometimes happen to be able to bring up things that need to come to the forefront to be able to talk about, communicate, discuss. So, not everything is working against us, or everyone is working against us. These situations can actually recognize and support you in recognizing, you know what, these things are happening for us. These things are happening for us to be able to elevate, to communicate, to collaborate in a place of aloha, as compared to be separate, divided, um, and not respecting each other's worlds, even if we don't agree, because we're called to be united. And yes, in this pandemic that we're experiencing, there's so much isolation, there's so much difficulty, depression, suicide rates have increased, domestic violence has increased, the calls to the police have increased, the chaos between the community and the police have increased. So we have all of these situations that are happening in the world on red alert. And the power of holistic emotional intelligence, what we talk about is we cannot control how other people are. of how other people are, of what's going on with them, of what's going on in the world, but we can control our response to it. Our greatest power is actually in the response. See, sometimes when someone may overreact or lash out to us, then that'll cause us to go inside and be like, what in the world, and want to lash out to them, right? So, what does that do? It's almost like hate reflects hate. But just what if someone lashes out and then we respond back in love? Then that actually calms down the anger, calms down the frustration. Usually, the reaction is you act out, you lash out, I'm going to lash out on you. And it's almost like we're giving our power away when we feed into what is going on. Because again, a lot of times it might not be what's actually, we might not be what the problem is. I hope this makes sense. And definitely, if this is something that you're struggling with or you've been dealing with, especially in your relationships and your families, reach out to us because it is the small things, it is the little things that actually become big mountains if unresolved that can actually prevent success. This is one of the reasons why I also love to deep dive. I don't like surface level, and I lived so much surface level in when I was in my career and life in general. And the reality is, the greatest blessings happen in the deep. When you go to the deep dive and when you break free from all the stuff that's going on down there, that's when you become unstoppable. So Don Miguel Ruiz, he had this on point when he was talking about this, taking everything personally, because I definitely know that it's so easy for us to get caught up in our feelings. It's so easy for us to get caught up in our emotions. We are human, but and human is all about emotions. Now, the biggest thing is becoming the lighthouse. The lighthouse does not move. It has a solid foundation. So even if a wave of hate or a wave of uncertainty comes, they're still able to stand firm. So be the lighthouse. Set the course as compared to being set by it. Number three, don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. And with this just one agreement, you can completely transform your life. So this actually goes back a little bit into that second agreement that I was talking about is, when we make assumptions about what we think is going on, that actually it's almost like you can make an ass of yourself. Because I look at, consider intellectual health, right, as a piece of pie. A piece of pie has how many slices? 8 slices, right? 8 slices. Okay, one of those pieces of the pie is everything that you know. Everything that you know. So for me, all of my education, all of my experience, every single thing I know only fits in that one piece of pie. There's another piece of pie. The second piece of pie is that there's stuff that I know that I don't know, right? Again, that only fills up one slice of that pie. Everything else, the other 8 slices, 6 slices, we don't know what we don't know. So it's really important to be able to be this open book and to be able to ask the right questions that bring clarity. This is one of the reasons why I love coaching, because actually coaching and coaching questions is one of the best ways to communicate, especially if there's some communication difficulties. I talk about in one of my talks, when two worlds collide, create a new one. So think about this even in marriage and parenting or any kind of relationship. You have two worlds This world has its own knowledge, skills, experiences, and background. This world has its own knowledge, skills, experience, and background. And as they're coming together, there's going to be these things that come up because these worlds are coming together. And a lot of times, what happens is before it gets too deep, then people will flee and pull away and maybe go off into another relationship or go off somewhere else. Yet, when you have children, right, it doesn't go away because then now you have to be able to co-parent, and again you have to be able to figure out how to come together. So a lot of times this has to do with communication. Communication is not just talking, it's also listening. And one of the I'm a talker, right? You can call me Motor Mouth Heather if you want. It's so cool. Like, because I love to talk, and I recognized years ago there was a lot of times I didn't listen. But the listening is actually the most powerful part. Not just necessarily listening, but actively listening and taking it in to be able to see what that person's model of the world. So no, therefore there's no need for assumptions. There's clarity, there's focus. And agreement 4. Agreement 4 is to always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment, and it will be different when you're healthy as opposed to when you're sick. And under any circumstances, just simply do your best, and you will avoid self judgment, self abuse, and regret. Now, I am a recovering perfectionist. Any other perfectionists out there? I want to let you know that perfectionism is poverty, is stagnation, is paralysis, and it's the best thing, the biggest thing that leads to procrastination. So it's okay to be perfectly imperfect. You just need to take the steps to get going and know that you are amazing as you do it, and recognize if there's any fear that comes up when you're doing it. You feel the fear and you do it anyway. And it's not going to be perfect. I was just sharing with my class last night how much I used to hate doing videos. I used to be freaked out about videos, and I used to be freaked out about pictures, right? And then I'm like, well, this is a conflict because I'm called to be on stages. I'm called to be teaching. I'm called to be coaching. I'm supposed to be in the light, right? Why try to fit in when I was born to stand out? Why should you try to fit in when you were born to stand out? And every single thing is a unique there's a uniqueness within each of every one of us that's waiting to come out and share our message with the world. Now, this whole part about always do your best, when I first started doing videos, I could tell they were a little wobbly, they were a little wonky. I could even see when I went back and look at them how fearful I was. Now, it's like, okay, well, let's push record and let's do the video. We're going to talk about it. It may be perfect, it may not be perfect. Who freaking cares? As long as I get the message out there and as long as the right people receive it. See, what happens when we procrastinate is that people may literally lose their lives as a result of our procrastination. And that's why it's important to be able to take inspired action. And yes, while inspired action may be scary, this is one of the reasons why you don't want to go the battle alone. You want to have support. So, this part about always doing our best is about recognizing that there is amazing strengths that we have, and there's also amazing weaknesses that we don't have. And a lot of times people think that the weaknesses should be a bad thing to look at. The reality is it's our weaknesses that are actually beautiful because other people can come in and see the and fill in the gaps by giving us their strengths that might fill in for our weaknesses. We are called to do life together. It is really about prosperity powered by partnership. If we think that we know it all and that we can do it all, we're only going to go so far. This is another reason why I love coaching so much, because it gives you that accountability. It gives you that number one cheerleader that is right there with you as you're achieving your goals. So, therefore, you can be able to achieve them with success and have peace on all sides of life, not just part of it, all of it. So again, last four or the four agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. Put a comment in the chat below. I want to hear what was your biggest takeaway, and what was the agreement that spoke to you the most today. Love to hear back from you. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure you stay connected with us. Go visit us at anotherlevelliving.com and sign up for your free guide to 5 secrets to ultimate business life harmony. And also get on a discovery call with us. Let's have a conversation and see how we can support you to your next level. All right. This has been an amazing Wisdom Wednesday. I look forward to seeing you next week, and have an amazing, amazing rest of the week and weekend. And remember, never get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life, because that's what it's all about. All right. Peace.